Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another deep dive into the biggest stories coming out of the NFL right now. There's a lot to unpack today, and if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan or simply an NFL enthusiast, you're going to want to stick around until the very end. We're talking Jerry Jones and his surprising comments that many are calling subtle shots at Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs' ongoing injury situation that has Cowboys Nation holding its breath, and of course, a massive showdown that's quickly becoming one of the most anticipated matchups of the season, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Green Bay Packers. It's drama, it's controversy, it's high-stakes football, and it's exactly what makes the NFL so captivating. Now let's start with Jerry Jones, the ever-controversial and always headline-grabbing owner of the Cowboys. Whenever Jerry talks, you can almost guarantee the media will pick apart every word, and his most recent remarks have done just that. He was asked about the state of the Cowboys' defense, about Micah Parsons' leadership role, and about where the team stands going into this crucial stretch of the season. Instead of the usual glowing praise for his star linebacker, Jerry seemed to pivot, making comments that some are interpreting as direct shots at Parsons. He highlighted how the team needs more consistency, how it cannot rely on splash plays alone, and how defensive leaders have to show up in every single moment, not just when the cameras are on. If you've followed Parsons' career, you know he's one of the most dominant pass rushers in the league, a player who can wreck an offensive line single-handedly, but he's also been criticized at times for disappearing in key stretches. Jerry's comments seemed aimed squarely at that narrative. Cowboys fans immediately began debating whether Jerry was right to call out Parsons publicly. On one hand, leaders should be held accountable, and Jones may believe that putting pressure on Parsons is his way of motivating him to elevate his game to that next level. On the other hand, many argue that Jerry should never be the one delivering that kind of message. That responsibility should fall on the coaching staff, the defensive coordinator, or even the locker room itself. When the owner makes remarks that feel like criticisms of his best player, it often creates unnecessary drama. And let's be honest, this Cowboys franchise has had more than its fair share of drama. Whether Jerry intended to take a shot or was just being blunt, the fact is those words are now fueling storylines everywhere. And the timing couldn't be more sensitive. The Cowboys are already reeling from Trevon Diggs' injury situation. Diggs, one of the most talented cornerbacks in the NFL and a huge part of this Cowboys defense, has been dealing with an ongoing setback that has cast real doubt on when he'll return to full strength. It's not just about his physical ability, it's about how the entire defense shifts without him. Diggs is a lockdown presence who allows Dan Quinn's defense to take more risks, to disguise coverages, and to unleash Parsons and the pass rush knowing they have elite coverage on the back end. Without Diggs, we've seen cracks in the Cowboys' secondary, and opposing offenses are starting to test those vulnerabilities. The real concern with Diggs is whether this injury lingers into the heart of the season. Cowboys Nation is worried because without him, the defense doesn't feel quite as invincible. You can have the best pass rushers in the league, but if the secondary can't hold up, teams will adjust. And when Jerry Jones was making those pointed comments about leadership and consistency, you have to wonder if he was indirectly speaking to the fact that Parsons and the defensive front need to step up even more to cover for Diggs' absence. It adds another layer of tension, because now fans are left wondering if Parsons is being singled out as the guy who has to carry the defense while one of their best players recovers. But while all of this is swirling around, there's no time for the Cowboys to sit back and feel sorry for themselves, because looming on the schedule is one of the most historic rivalries in the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys are set to take on the Green Bay Packers, and whenever these two franchises meet, the stakes feel higher than most games. This is a matchup steeped in history, going all the way back to the Ice Bowl in 1967, and every time they meet in the playoffs or in primetime, it feels like another chapter in that long, dramatic rivalry. Cowboys fans remember all too well the heartbreak of past matchups, from Dez Bryant's controversial catch that wasn't, to Aaron Rodgers ripping their hearts out time and time again at AT&T Stadium. And now, as the Cowboys face off against a Packers team that is young, hungry, and looking to prove itself post-Rodgers, the drama feels as alive as ever. The Packers, led by Jordan Love, have shown flashes of brilliance and also moments of growing pains. But one thing is certain, they're not intimidated by the Cowboys. Matt LaFleur has built a balanced offense that can lean on the run game, use play action effectively, and exploit weaknesses in opposing secondaries. And if the Cowboys don't have Trevon Diggs out there to help anchor the defense, Green Bay will absolutely test them with receivers like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. This isn't a game where Dallas can afford lapses or inconsistency, especially with Jerry Jones now putting the spotlight on whether Parsons can step up as the leader this defense needs him to be. Offensively, the Cowboys are also facing questions. Dak Prescott has been under the microscope for years, and any game against the Packers brings all of that pressure back into focus. Fans remember how many times Rodgers outdueled the Cowboys, and now it's Dak's chance to flip the script. But the reality is, Dak needs help. The offensive line has to protect him, the run game needs to be more consistent, and the wide receiver core, led by CeeDee Lamb, has to deliver in the big moments. If this game turns into a shootout, Dak cannot afford mistakes, because Green Bay thrives on turnovers. This is the kind of game that could shape narratives for the rest of the season, and if the Cowboys fall short, it will only amplify the criticism from Jerry Jones and the pressure on players like Parsons. It's worth noting that Jerry Jones has a long history of making controversial remarks at critical moments. Some fans say this is his way of controlling the narrative, of keeping the Cowboys in the headlines no matter what. After all, the Cowboys are America's team, and Jerry knows the business side of the NFL better than anyone. But there's always a risk that those comments backfire, creating distractions at a time when the team needs laser focus. Right now, between Diggs' injury, Parsons being called out, and the looming showdown with Green Bay, it feels like the Cowboys are walking a tightrope. Cowboys fans are split. Some say Jerry is right, Micah Parsons needs to take that next step, to not just be a star but to be the kind of leader who makes everyone around him better. Others say Jerry should keep his thoughts private and let the players and coaches handle it internally. And then there's the concern about how Parsons himself will respond. He's a competitor, he's outspoken, and he's never been one to shy away from speaking his mind. Will this motivate him, or will it create friction? That's one of the big questions as the Cowboys prepare for this crucial stretch of the season. The Packers game isn't just about wins and losses, it's about momentum, identity, and proving whether this version of the Cowboys can rise above the drama and live up to expectations. This is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, but to get there, they have to show they can handle adversity. Diggs' injury is a test. Jerry's comments are a test. The Packers matchup is another test. And how the Cowboys respond will tell us a lot about what kind of team this really is. So, as we head into this showdown, the storylines are practically writing themselves. Jerry Jones stirring the pot with comments that may or may not be aimed at Micah Parsons. Trevon Diggs' injury issues creating serious questions about the defense. And a clash with the Green Bay Packers that feels like a statement game not just for the Cowboys, but for the entire NFC picture. If the Cowboys want to prove they're contenders, this is the moment to do it. And you can bet the whole football world will be watching closely. That's going to wrap up today's deep dive, but I want to hear from you. Do you think Jerry Jones went too far with his comments about Micah Parsons? Can the Cowboys defense survive without Trevon Diggs until he's fully healthy? And most importantly, who do you think comes out on top when the Cowboys take on the Packers in this next big showdown? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a conversation that every NFL fan should be a part of. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming NFL coverage, because we'll be following every twist and turn of this Cowboys season.